Joe Hooks out here in Denver, Colorado at GOLFTEC headquarters. Out here getting fit with my guys and just trying to see how, how much tighter we can make my bag from top to bottom.
So talk to me a little bit about just trajectory with your irons that you currently have, just current iron that you have in your hand. What do you like? What do you not like?
Yeah, I don't have any issues getting it up at all. I guess like more than anything, I would love to be able to get them down a little bit more on command.
Okay.
And moving right.
Yeah.
A low cut is a shot that like I love to see at times.
Sure.
But I just don't hit it because it's not, not
not
necessarily in the cards with my current iron head.
Okay.
And I figured that out pretty soon after I got these, and I love them. I hit them well. My iron, my ball striking overall is a strength, but just some shots that I would love to be able to execute.
Cool. No, we can definitely do that. We'll take a look at some of your numbers that you have right now, and then just kind of try out a couple different options for you to potentially maybe control the flight a little bit better, and then just by giving you a head that maybe has a little less of that forgiveness built into it.
Right.
You obviously are a great player. You don't need a whole lot of forgiveness. You hit it in the center of the face pretty often.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep, we'll definitely take a look and get you squared away.
Typically.
I mean, you definitely hit it, what I would say, on the higher side of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see just even looking at all your numbers over here, like ideally for you, I'd like to see that launch angle closer to like 15, 16 degrees.
Okay.
You're up at almost 19. Your spin is fine, right around 5,500.
Yeah, that's one thing I've loved about, I think that might be more of a testament to the shafts than the heads, that my spin, I don't have an issue with spin.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I haven't had any moments where I'm like, all right, this ball, I'm not holding that green or, so.
Yep, and then descent angle is a little bit high.
A little steep.
You're almost 49 degrees. That's the angle that the ball's coming down to the ground.
Yeah.
With your spin, you don't need that high of a descent.
Got it.
So I think with a little less of a forgiving head, more of kind of like a player's iron head.
Now, how do you feel about tailoring a head and iron build to the golf ball you play? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, that's like very fine, something very fine to kind of like figure out. But like, let's say I get a less forgiving head, that spins a little bit more, the head spins a little bit more. Could it be good to go to like a TP5X instead of playing the TP5 that I always do, what do you think about that?
I mean, the ball that you play that's not changing.
Right.
That's the ball that you have in your game right now. So what we should be doing when we're looking to fit for whether it's irons, drivers, wedges, whatever, you should be fitting with that ball so that you get the performance that you want out of the shot.
Right.
So when it comes to fitting your irons to the golf ball, sure, you can look at it that way, but I'd say you're more conducting the fitting with your golf ball so that then your numbers reflect what's actually happening to you on the golf course.
Makes sense.
So if you're doing a fitting with something other than your golf ball, you're not doing it right.
Makes sense.
Like I said, biggest things are just launch angle's a little high. Descent angle obviously is going to be a little high because of that. So what I'd like to do is try some heads that are maybe just a little less of kind of the game improvement type of head. Not to say that that's what you have, but something more of kind of like a tour, like a player's kind of blade club, just to help potentially bring your launch angle down and help with this descent angle piece. That should help you control your trajectory, and then it'll also make it easier from a dispersion standpoint to maybe not miss left as much because they'll have less offset.
Got it, okay.
All right, Joe, so TaylorMade P7MC. This head's going to be a little bit more compact than what you currently have, a little less offset than what you currently have. So we should see trajectory come down just a little. That shaft's about the same as what you have. That's the Project X. So lower spin. Again, that head's going to be just a little smaller. Hopefully helps us bring that trajectory down, and it should tighten that dispersion a little bit for you, which is kind of what you're looking for. So let's hit a few and see what we get. So look-wise versus what you have, better, worse, about the same? I mean, just
as far as visually?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it looks better.
Okay.
For sure, yeah. You know, you sit over, it's like, yeah, this will definitely do more of what I want.
One of the cool things about the TaylorMade line, and this is totally personal preference, if you wanted to do something like this, you could combo set it.
Obviously, you're almost doing yourself a disservice to have a head like this in like a 4-iron, debatably, or 3-iron.
Yeah.
You know, when you start getting that low, it's like do you want to have something more forgiving that could easily launch a little higher?
I think that's your piece there, is the launch piece.
And and it's funny, my buddy Quinn Riley just played in Wells Fargo, and he played practice round, a few holes with Max Homa, and one thing that Quinn mentioned was how a lot of the guys seem to be like effortlessly like sending 4-irons to the moon, like pitching wedges. And I'm like, bro, look, a lot of that is build. Like, trust me, they're not doing anything magically they don't swing it any different than you or any better to where they can just magically hit a 4-iron to the moon. Like, we all, for the most part, at this level, have a swing good enough to hit a long iron high when we want to.
Right.
But a lot of that has to be built out. Like, so you have to get your, certain clubs built to do that.
Well, and as you start to, as the heads start to get stronger in lofts, you get into your 5-irons, your 4-irons, your 3-irons. If you have a little bit more of that mass down at the bottom, not necessarily saying it has to be in a 7MC. If it's maybe a 770, I wouldn't necessarily go to like a 790 in the TaylorMade. But by having that combo set ability, it gives you the opportunity to say, hey, I don't have to force a high shot.
Right, exactly.
I just naturally have that.
Exactly.
And then if I need to bring trajectory down, I can do that with potentially ball position or changing some of the swing mechanics that you have in order to do that. I don't think you necessarily need to launch it as high as you have been with like a 7-iron, an 8-iron, a 9-iron.
Makes sense, yeah.
Because that's where you're going to start to see a lot of better players, almost if anything, bring it down.
100%.
Right? So,
like I do with my wedges. Naturally, I just my wedges are all lowered by, just second natures.
And I think you would benefit from doing the same thing with your 7, 8, 9-iron.
Got it, yeah.
When you get into your 6, your 5, your 4, I mean, yes, if you need to control trajectory, fine.
Right.
But I don't think it's something where you necessarily need to play like that type of a head in a 4-iron and make it harder on yourself.
Right, exactly.
So there is that option there if we need to go down that road.
Okay.
But if you like kind of that look of the head and the weight of the shaft and what it's doing right now, we can try a couple other options. Just in some other brands to see what works. But I definitely think we've got something there that makes sense for what we're trying to do. All right, Joe, so Mizuno JPX 923, this is their tour head. Okay, so again, a little bit smaller, more kind of the player's profile for you. Very similar to the 7MC you just hit. Spin, we want to keep about the same. I like that shaft for you just based off of what you were doing before. So let's hit that one, see what we get numbers-wise, and see if it changes the distance piece. We're still seeing like similar launch numbers, right, versus your original one. So your launch is just a touch lower.
Well, the thing is though that I love is another one major thing that I love about the money taper is the off-speed shots.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So off-speed,
yeah,
you don't lose spin.
Like I'd look at it this way, Joe. You've got your left miss that you kind of want to try to get a little bit
under
less,
control, yeah.
And you'd like to see trajectory come down just a touch.
Yep.
If you're going to pick one or the other, which one would be more important?
Left.
Cool. Then we're in a good spot here.
Yeah.
That's where I would look at it, especially if you feel like this gives you the ability to work kind of some of those half to 3/4 swings.
That makes sense, yeah.
I'm totally fine with that. If you were super worried about launch, I might say we go with something a little heavier. If you're not, that's fine. I still think this is better at 18.4 versus what we had earlier when we were up here at almost 19. So we brought it down a half a degree.
Right, and that matters, yeah.
We're still in where we want to be. Your descent angle has gone down about half a degree as well.
Let me hit one more of these.
Okay.
That's cool. Like that swing there, still, it felt, it was a familiar swing that it's still finishing a little bit left. I'm working to hold it off in a tournament.
Yeah.
Or on the course,
Right. Yeah, you finished a yard offline on that shot. Your launch was 17 degrees, which again is kind of where I want you to be. You can see how it's on the average of these shots you've hit, you're at 18 degrees of launch versus almost at 20 where you were before.
Yeah.
So you're heading in the right direction. I like where we're going here. So yeah, you haven't really lost anything as far as distance goes.
Right.
Spin's about the same at 5,400. I like how the descent angle is now closer to 45, and your launch is down now under 18. And this is averaging all those shots you've been hitting. So
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I love that. But I like this, for whatever reason, it looks better than the TaylorMade for me.
okay, that tour's probably just got a little less offset.
That might be it.
I mean, we're talking millimeters here.
Yeah. Still,
Like not much, but
yeah.
head shape should be about the same.
Yeah.
Size should be about the same.
Yeah. But I like that a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I'd say if you like kind of how that Mizuno looks versus the TaylorMade, we can try. Mizuno has kind of two lines. So they have their 923s, and then they have the 221, 223, 225, which is more of like your hot metals.
I'm not familiar, so
Totally
you show
fine.
me.
So there's basically two different paths you go down. They still have the tour iron in both.
Okay.
So if you want to try the other side of it, it's more geared towards just a little higher ball speed, a little more distance.
Okay.
So we can try it, see what it does to launch and
Check it out.
spin. But I think you've got a really good option there that we really don't need to tinker a ton with.
Do you mess with?
So Joe, Mizuno Pro 221, staying in the Mizuno line. Again, this is going to be your smaller player's head. This one is going to be a little bit more like a blade versus the other one where we had a little bit more cavity back in it. Okay. So again, not changing a whole lot, same shaft, just a little bit smaller head in the 221. Still gives you the option to do the combo set if you want. Let's see what we get launch and spin wise, and then we can make a decision from there. Pretty much identical. Ball speed's the same. Backspin, you're off by, call it 40 RPMs. So you spin it a little bit more with that one, just on average. Launch, less than basically 0.2 of a degree off. Under 18 on both. Offline, very similar. Descent angles, very similar. Distance, very similar. I think what it really boils down to, especially if you like the look of the Mizuno, is just deciding between, do I want the tour that has a little bit more kind of that cavity back with the V in the back, where they're just basically trying to create a little bit more ball speed by shaving out some of the cavity there, or do you want more of the blade look with the 221s? Right. What I would look at is if you want that 4-iron where you're able to hit it just a little higher without having to necessarily try, that's where I'd go with the combo set route of the 221
Right.
and the 223. I think the cutoff point for you, go 5-iron from 221 down to pitching wedge. Right. And then in the 223, you could get that 4-iron, and then we would just adjust the loft so that your gapping makes sense.
Got it. Okay.
Because what'll happen with that 223 with just a slightly bigger head, slightly bigger top line, that ball is going to go a little further.
Right.
So we probably go about a degree weak on those, on that 223 in the 4-iron, and then in your 5-iron, we'd probably go a degree strong just to close that gap.
Got it. Okay.
So then you'd only see that 10 to 12 yard change from 4 to 5-iron, which is what you want, versus like your 4-iron going 25 yards further than your
Got it, okay.
than your 5-iron, and now you have to figure out how to make that, fit within your game.
Got it. Okay.
I want it to be just consistent. What are you, like 10, 12 yards in between each club right now?
Basically 12. Yeah.
So that's where we want to keep you. So I think if we go that route, that'd be the easiest way to do it.
Okay. Cool. I like that.
Cool. All right, so we just finished up a fitting with my man Joe Hooks today. Got him in some brand new Mizuno Pro 221 irons. We're gonna combo set it, get you the 223 and the 4-iron. What'd you think about today?
It's great. I mean, it's always really cool to see like immediate results or feedback from what you're currently playing to something, something new, right? When you have a certain miss that you're seeing and you make an adjustment through a fitting just to kind of test some different things out, and you see that miss basically go away, it's always a good feeling. So, if I had these irons tomorrow, I would be, on the moon. But it's gonna take it might take a week or two, but it's all good. Just, I'm excited for that because I just wasn't expecting there to be too much of a difference in what I had, but that's for sure a very important difference. So.
Cool, man. Well, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, man,
Enjoyed
appreciate y'all, man. Oh, man.